Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais, and I'm joined by Sean Keenan.
Don't make Heidi angry. You wouldn't like her when she's angry.
And, of course, the birthday boy himself, Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and I am just a prickly pear in Philadelphia right now.
Wasn't that an Elton John song?
Yeah. Goodbye, Prickly Pear Road.
Prickly Pear Freedom.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. Oh, my
Prickly
goodness.
Pear in the Jets.
I think I'm going to die, but we
no.
we hope
happening
you
over there?
will be missed. You will be missed.
That's not true. But we wouldn't miss this week, everybody, because the people that help us out over at patreon.com/HMP have bestowed upon us a gift. Well, maybe not a gift, but let's just hope they may have kept the receipt. Because every single month we invite you guys that support us over at patreon.com/HMP, be it the $1 all the way up. You each and every month get to vote on a movie we get to watch. And it was a tight race, this one. Now, Sean, I think you may have tipped your cap there last week, and that may have been
I did.
That may have been a silly idea, because for me, it's just called you do not let this is the World Series of Poker, my friend. You do not let everyone else know what's in your hand.
It just took me by surprise. I mean, it's something that doesn't come up a lot. So when it comes up, not a whole lot of people are like, hey, I want to see a movie about a dead kid.
Oh, man, I'm always pulling for whichever movie has the shortest runtime. I'll just let you know that going forward.
And, hey, I'll be honest with you, Casper may have had quite a shorter runtime. I'm not sure, but I bet you money it wasn't over 2 hours.
I told you about the old man, right? When I saw the trailer with the old man who said, and I bet you it's not even 80 minutes long.
Yeah, you did last week.
So
I was pulling for that.
So here are the choices that we gave everybody at patreon.com. Men in Black 2, Hulk from 2003, Casper from 1993, 30 Days of Night, and Surrogates. And actually, it was after The Wire, but 30 Days of Night actually tied Hulk, but it was already past the due date.
I would have so much rather watched that movie.
So here's an important thing, kids. Get your votes in and get your votes in early. So when you see that, I know it goes out to your email. Go ahead and hit that bad boy and click on that link right away. So hear yourself be counted. But for those of you that wanted to say, hey, let's go way back before a big giant universe, multiverse was kind of put together for Marvel and everything, and go back to Ang Lee's Hulk from 2003. So that is what we'll be doing today. But of course, we also have to, throw our hands up here and say a good old happy birthday to one Mr. Bruce Leslie.
Happy birthday, Brucey.
It's my birthday. Going to party like it's my birthday.
Not if you listen to the pre-show.
All alone. Spending my birthday alone again.
I'll tell you, these days, that sounds like heaven.
Yes.
I don't want to be with any of you people. But yeah, so Bruce is joining us remotely.
I can just eat this sandwich in peace and watch what I want? Oh, my goodness.
But I got to watch the Hulk.
No, sir.
Happy birthday, Bruce.
Happy birthday to you. They have bestowed upon you this gift of gifts. But I tell you what, Bruce, we're going to have a gift for you at the end of this episode. So stick around for that, everybody. But speaking of birthdays, like my nephew's birthday is tomorrow. So he's turning, 4 now? You've never seen a kid who loves the Batman 66 scene with the shark biting Batman's leg. If that little clip alone had to, survive and give Adam West's family money for years and years, he would do that, man. Because he just, every time he'd ever walk up to you since he was 2, he just goes, Batman Shark, and he just wants you to
I
put...
remember you telling us that before. I think that is so awesome.
He just wants that. That's his favorite scene, is him just punching the crap out of that plastic shark. He loves it, so... and, of course... I think it's on the 6th, if memory serves here. Maria from upstate New York, Donovan's birthday is out there as well, man. So,
happy birthday.
It gets around to everybody. And if you'd like to have your birthday shouted out here on Here Movie Podcast, join us at heremoviepodcast@gmail.com. That sounded almost professional.
And you may not know this, but I share a birthday with handsome, talented celebrity Rex Harrison.
Ooh, I'm a Rex Harrison fan. Yeah.
The worst singer to ever make his career built around musicals.
That's what hilarious part about all that and like Dr. Dolittle and stuff and like just the history behind that is just fantastic. Is he did not want to do any of that crap and they're like, we'll get somebody else. He's just like, no, I'll do it.
He was the king of talk singing.
Look, he's not bad at it, but if you can make Liza Doolittle do what she do, you're all right in my book, buddy.
Pygmalion.
But yeah, man. So happy birthday, Bruce, and happy birthday to everybody out there in the old birthday sphere and all that kind of good stuff. Let's see. Let's go ahead. What do you say? You wanna take a listen to the old trailer here for the Hulk?
Let's
do that, shall we? Let's pop that up. Here we go.
Bruce? What happened to you last night?
I had the most vivid dream. It's like being born, coming up for air, the light hitting my face, screaming, my heart beating like boom, boom. Betty, what's happening to me?
I don't know.
I don't understand this. You were exposed to a dose of gamma radiation that should be lethal.
Yeah!
But you seem just fine.
Maybe there's something different in you.
How little do you understand, Miss Ross? My son is unique. And because he is unique, the world will not tolerate his existence. My Bruce.
I think the rage is triggering the transformations.
Sounds a little far-fetched.
I think we passed far-fetched a long time ago.
We're dealing with a monster.
He's a human being.
I will isolate it and treat it myself, and I'll kill it before it does any real harm. But would you really destroy part of yourself? I don't think so. You found me.
You weren't that hard to find.
Scares me the most when I can't fight it anymore, when I totally lose control. I like it. We're gonna have to watch that temper of yours.
Alrighty, that was, oh my gosh, that was a trailer for Hulk from 2003, directed by Ang Lee. Here's the IMDb plotline. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. Bruce Banner, a genetics researcher with a tragic past, suffers an accident that causes him to transform into a raging green monster when he gets angry. Is that not every Hulk story, let's be honest? Starring Eric Bana, Jennifer Connelly, Sam Elliott, Josh Lucas, Nick Nolte, and more. Bruce, we've done Hulk on this program many a time. Let's see what he pulls out of his keister on his birthday. That sounds like a weird thing. What do you got for us?
For my next trick.
You don't want to know about that one, but hold on. Let's not stand on ceremony here. Holy crap! Come on.
Well, man, I was
Shut
on.
up. Sorry. You hit play and you hit play and you hit play, and then it doesn't work until it does. All right, now go.
Hey, so I was on Discord, talking to my clan, the best clan in Kingdom 78 of Game of Thrones Conquest, the mobile game, a clan known as Money, but we spell it with a 3 instead of an E because we got a triple dose of coolness right there. And by the way, I promised to give them a shout out. Was it obvious?
Yeah, paper check is in the mail.
Seamless. You're a pro.
So I said, hey guys, what do you think about Betty Ross? And they said, what, the lady who sewed the American flag? And I said, no, Elizabeth Betty Ross, I got to tell you, I don't have much enthusiasm when I start off with Betty Ross. So it's all going to be downhill from that. But that's where we are. She was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. She is maybe the least interesting love interest in all of comics. I mean, how romantic can you be with the Hulk guys? She's the daughter of Thunderbolt Ross. Stan Lee originally portrayed Betty Ross as a strong-willed and independent-minded yet conventionally polite woman. Now, in the mid-1980s, John Byrne portrayed her as a more willful and confrontational type of lady, a characterization that would remain in place during Peter David's long run. And guys, can we agree that's kind of like the Hulk run?
Yep.
That is the best one, yes.
Now, Betty had a miscarriage in the Incredible Hulk, Volume 2, number 360. And though this occurred during Peter David's run on the series, the issue was instead written by editor Bob Harris. And here's what Peter David had to say about it. The reason I refused to do it was because Betty was really losing her child to editorial fiat. It was decided by the powers that be that Betty and Bruce were not to become parents because that would make the characters seem too old to the readers. My run on the book ended with that issue. I basically walked over it, but there were so many stories I still wanted to tell that ultimately I stayed with it a little bit longer, even though I fumed about it for quite a while. So did you guys know that? Did you guys know that Betty Ross is the reason Peter David quit writing Hulk comics? Now, in September 2009, she appeared for the first time as Red She-Hulk, which is a character with one too many adjectives for my taste. But that's something, I guess. Actually, that could be a pretty cool dynamic for this movie. Who would have thought that the one thing this movie is missing is Red She-Hulk? Dang, I'd kind of like to see that movie. Imagine if Red She-Hulk had a movie before She-Hulk. That would be pure madness, I tell you. But Red She-Hulk, she became a member of the superhero team, The Defenders, and Defenders Volume 4, Number 1, in December 2011, written by one of Charlotte's favorite sons, Matt Fraction. Matt Fraction had this to say about the character. The way I write her is somewhere between Indiana Jones and Johnny Knoxville. Wow. After a lifetime of being fought over and treated like a human football, she's now 7 feet tall and like 62, 52, 62 or whatever and bulletproof. She goes around leaving these Betty-shaped holes in the wall. But unfortunately, that excellent comic only lasted 12 issues, which it was really good. I guess I need to say something else. One time, MODOK turned Betty Ross into a villain named Harpy, but that was a long time ago. She married Colonel Talbot once. That's really got to burn old Bruce right in the biscuits. All right, guys, this is your travel-weary version of a comic book connection.
Oh, buddy, I think I figured something out about you, which is that you feel about the Hulk basically the same way I feel about Doctor Strange.
Let's hear it.
Oh.
Well, you know, whenever, like for you, the Hulk is like it's not that you hate the Hulk, but the Hulk is something that's forgettable to you because it's very one note when it's not written by Peter David, right? I mean,
yeah,
guy gets angry. Go ahead.
I would say the Hulk is to me like the Punisher is to you. I love him as a supporting character.
Yes, that's more apt. The problem is that, you know, with the Hulk now, we've seen it a lot now. You know, where you know they keep trying and they kept trying and they're like, you know what, we're not going to do this anymore. And I think that's probably the right move. For me, the reason why I'm bringing up Doctor Strange is because to me, Doctor Strange, he's fine. But to me, he's kind of a bummer character because I'm like, man, Doctor Strange is in this one. Like, I can remember even being a kid and like if, you know, Spider-Man is fighting, let's say, like the tarantula and Doctor Strange shows up. I'm like, man, Doctor Strange.
Because, no matter what happens, you just know at the end of the issue, Doctor Strange is going to magic the SHIT out of the situation and there's no real tension. And with Hulk, he's going to smash. Like no one can outsmash the Hulk, so every issue is going to end with the Hulk outsmashing the bad guy. Right, exactly, and so I get it. You know, I understand why he's not your favorite. Let's go a different way here for a second, right? So, and I know we keep referencing other things here today, but I have to for this thing. So, when I first saw 2003 Hulk, because it's just Hulk, 2003 Hulk, I hated it. I hated this movie when it came out. I saw it in the movie theater, and I was so disappointed by it, especially because the trailer, like that teaser trailer,
was just a house, and then you saw it blow apart, and it said the Hulk, and I was like, wow, that looks like it's going to be great. And it turned out to be, it's more psychological than anything else, this movie. There's a lot of people just talking in this movie. And, and for a
this movie
called
starts slow. This movie starts slow and refuses to speed up. I'll give you that.
That is true. That is true. And, there's a lot of things about this movie that don't recommend it. You have Hulkapoodle, you have all of that stuff. And
that's actually one of the better parts is Hulkapoodle and the big smiley faced brown dog. I love that dog. I'd buy an action figure of that dog.
But here's the thing is that much like the prequels, we thought at the time that the prequels were all we were going to get. And so at the end of episode 3, it was a huge bummer. It was like, oh man, I can't believe that this is the last thing we're going to see is Darth Vader. No, and just ridiculousness and terribleness. But now, we have new Star Wars, and so when you look back on the prequels, it's not nearly as bad as they once seemed. I mean, they're not great movies, but they also aren't anger inducing like they once were for me anyway.
Yeah.
And Ang Lee's Hulk is the same way. When Ang Lee's Hulk came out, it lost money. And so there was no way we were going to see a Hulk movie ever again, it felt like. And,
oh, man. I am personally offended by Ang Lee's Hulk, but we'll wait for that.
Well, and here's the thing. I do want to touch on this, and I think you did it quite well here, Sean, is that this indeed, while it is entitled Hulk and Hulk alone, this should, and by all purposes, be called Ang Lee's Hulk. Because this movie is Ang Lee. Now, Ang Lee, for those of you that don't know, this is not exactly something that's in his wheelhouse, When this was back in his time, this guy comes from like the early super independent, kind of era of film and stuff. The Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, Sense and Sensibility. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was like his biggest one up to this point. Yeah, and then he goes on to do the Hulk.
Yeah, this is an Oscar winner, but not for comic book movies. Ang Lee, I mean, not the movie.
So Hulk comes out, and it's such an odd beat for him because like the next thing after that's like Brokeback Mountain. So it's like you realize that like one of these things is not like the other, and one of these things is the Hulk.
Well, not only that, but at the time, keep in mind this is 2003, so the year before we got Raimi's Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. They're on the second X-Men movie at this point, and X-Men has been firing on all cylinders. The first one is pretty good, the second one is great, and so you have something to judge on, where it's not like a vast desert of nothingness and then the Hulk comes out. It's, Raimi's Spider-Man, not perfect, but it's good. And X-Men 2 is fantastic.
And the way this was packaged, the way that the post-production went down on this movie, they even brought in Danny Elfman. I mean, they really wanted this to be the next Spider-Man, essentially. Yeah. And at the time, when I was excited for this to be released. I mean, I saw this opening weekend on an IMAX screen because I loved Spider-Man so much, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, and I thought, well, Hulk is going to take it to a whole other level. I just didn't know that whole other level was going to be weirdness.
To level down. But yeah, it is like it's interesting because like you're right, the Danny Elfman and stuff coming in, and I think his score adds a lot to this movie. Actually, I think if you take his score away, this movie actually loses quite a bit of points.
Agreed, totally.
Well,
agreed.
It doesn't have many to give up in the first place.
That's my point.
But here's another thing, man. Ang Lee. Now I don't know how much was Ang Lee, how much was the editor. It all has to go back on the director when you don't know. But there are all these little things with trying to make it look like comic book panels and a comic book page and really trying to drive home the point that this is a comic book movie. And they tell a story that is in no way, shape, or form related at all to the comics.
From a visual standpoint, how they edited everything and stuff, that is one of the few things in this movie I actually like. It's not always warranted. It's not always the best, but it's going for broke, and man, oh man, is it trying. And it's like, it's hitting more than it doesn't. But really, I think it's I like to call it what's inside the panels that's screwing it up.
But this is like and this isn't a fair thing to say because this writer does good stories, but this is like if Michael Brian Bendis wrote Ultimate Hulk, we would be 6 issues in before we ever saw the Hulk. I mean, that's how it went down with Spider-Man, right?
Oh yeah.
And my goodness, I'm so over this movie before Hulk even shows up. And the first time he shows up, all he does is like wreck a lab. I mean, he doesn't even like do anything cool.
It is 40 minutes in. I literally timed it. It is 40 minutes in before we ever even see the Hulk in this movie.
I mean, even an Ang Lee's Hulk apologist would have to agree that this movie is way too long.
Oh yeah,
for the story it's telling.
For sure. And you know, I was very surprised by this today because I remember absolutely hating this movie. And you know, I think the casting is a little off with Bana. And I know that he wasn't their first choice. I know that they wanted the dude who plays Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. They wanted Billy Crudup. They wanted Billy Crudup to play.
Still a weird choice, I gotta say. Still kind of a weird choice.
Well, at that time,
Right.
though, no one knows Eric Bana from Billy Crudup at that point, so you could really either or, I think. So it's not like you go like,
I mean,
Eric Bana's way bigger name back then. That's not true.
Can we all agree that Eric Bana was a really weird choice for this, though? I mean, I know he's had a career after this, and he's a fine actor, but he is just not Bruce Banner in any way.
No, I don't think so either. And you know, as much as I know that you don't like the Incredible Hulk, Bruce, you know, their choice for Banner and Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton, is a whole lot better than Eric Bana.
Hey,
because Eric Bana,
after sitting through this movie this afternoon, I will raise the Incredible Hulk a 2 full Robins.
That's
man.
what I'm saying.
This thing is bad.
That's what I keep telling people. I'm just like, look, you may not love Incredible Hulk, but it's a way better movie than Hulk is.
I think
I would watch that all day.
I think that Eric Bana is pretty good in this movie, though. I mean, he's the wrong choice for sure, but I think that he's good in it. Like, I don't.
He really,
go ahead.
in some weird way, he reminded me of the guy that played Clark Kent in It's a Bird Plane It's Superman, that old horrible TV thing we watched.
Well, one of the problems with this movie is that it is so dour. Like, there's no humor in it at all. And you have Eric Bana. Eric Bana is a comedian first. He's a great actor, but he is a comedian first. And so why cast Eric Bana if you're not going to have him do anything humorous at all in this movie?
And it's
It's the same thing I say about all those movies that have Tyler Perry but no Medea. The only reason you cast Tyler Perry is to get Medea, people.
Medea would have been great in Star Trek.
Would have been hilarious though is that like
I would have loved it if she's some kind of admiral. Oh, Admiral Medea. Medea.
Captain Pike, you don't know what you're talking about, boy.
But I've got to tell you, one of the reasons why I love this movie so much, Betty Ross is one of the most blah vanilla characters ever created from Marvel, for sure.
Oh yeah.
But oh my God, 2003 Jennifer Connelly, get out of town.
That's about peak right there.
Oh
for
man.
me.
I thought
my
about
God.
going on YouTube and watching my favorite scene from Requiem for a Dream, but I didn't.
Wow, that's a real monstrous thing to say.
Unfortunately for her, she's going to be known as Labyrinth and that one scene.
Like,
even
whoa,
the entire movie. One scene.
What two very opposite sides of the spectrum. Here's a beloved child's movie and a movie that you show to people that you're trying to get off a smack.
Or if you want people to leave your house.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, pop on Requiem here. We got to get everybody out of here by 2.
Thanks to Requiem for a Dream, I've never been so much as tempted to taste heroin.
Well, see, Darren Aronofsky, Darren Aronofsky does job.
It's Aronofsky.
But yeah, she's great in this. And here's what I'll say. Like, here's what I noticed in this film going off this time. Because I'll be honest, I don't think I've watched this since 2008. Because when Incredible Hulk came out, it was so darn good. I'm like, why would I ever need that Ang Lee movie ever again? So my guess is it's been, just about 10 years since I've probably seen this thing. And the acting is really, really odd throughout the whole thing.
Okay, let's talk about Nick Nolte. First off,
I'm not even talking Nick Nolte. I mean, that just goes without saying. But I mean Jennifer Connelly.
Does Nick Nolte, like, especially in 2003, does Nick Nolte move the needle? Like, does Nick Nolte open a movie? Like, did they go out and say, we got to get Nolte for this role? Because I'm telling you, man, they made him look as much like that DUI mugshot as possible.
Well, here's the thing. That was when all this went down.
Yeah.
It was all during this time. And so it was so he came out during this. I think he had gotten arrested like either while during this movie or just after it or whatever.
It's just before they started shooting.
So everybody was just like, "Oh, well, he's just playing Nick Nolte at this point, which is a crazed, unwashed hobo."
Man, he has nailed the role of crazed unwashed hobo. Like, I don't know that there's another crazed unwashed hobo in the world as good as Nick Nolte after watching this movie.
Nah, man.
Well, look, guys. Everybody, I don't want to get into it too much because I don't want to bury the lead later. But Nolte is a terrific actor. Everybody kind of links him with Gary Busey, but he's not Gary Busey.
No.
He's definitely got some problems, but he gets nominated for Academy Awards often, and he should, because he's an amazing actor. The problem is his personal life is insane. So like you can't, and it's hard to distinguish between the two, but it's the same thing that you have to do with Tom Cruise, where when Tom Cruise is in a movie, Tom Cruise is trying as hard as he possibly can in that movie. He doesn't have but anything. And neither does Nick Nolte. Nick Nolte is all in when he's in a movie.
Well, I will tell you, as a proud son of West Virginia, we were so happy when Jennifer Garner got famous so we could quit saying that Nick Nolte was from West Virginia. Now we can talk about Jennifer Garner. And they're both from basically the same neighborhood, which is weird.
Oh, wow, really?
Boy, what a range that neighborhood.
So there's a lot of baggage going into this movie with Nolte, but and you're right. I mean, Nolte isn't Nicholson. He's not moving the needle like Nicholson would, but it did add a gravitas to this movie because Nolte had been nominated a couple of times already for Academy Award, and I believe even won one.
Prince of Tides. I feel like he won for Prince of Tides.
I think so too. I'd have to look that up, but I'm refusing to do so.
But you know how he said that Bana is a comedic actor or a comedian, and they should have gave him a little humor? Nick Nolte was at his best in things like Stakeout, Down and Out in Beverly Hills. I mean, he works. In my opinion, part of what makes him work is he's like the straight guy in a comedic film.
Well, 48 Hours is.
That alone.
I mean, it launched every buddy cop movie for 20 years. I mean,
yeah.
48 Hours is a great movie.
And he actually had them rename the town he lived in, Beverly Hills, West Virginia, after Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
I can't tell. I can't tell if you're being serious.
I'm being serious. I'm not lying.
Wow.
I wouldn't lie about that, man.
Wow.
I don't lie about cartography, Sean. You should know that by now.
What's the last movie Nick Nolte made? Like, is he like Hackman,
He's on a TV show. He has a TV show which is nominated for Golden Globes all the time, and it's on Epix.
It's called Graves.
But he plays a former president who gets stuff done post presidency.
Looks like it just got canceled, actually.
Oh, did it just get canceled?
It says 2016, 2017. Usually they'll just leave that open if it's got another season, but he just finished up something called The Padre.
What's the name of the show?
Graves.
Graves, that's it. That's right.
But I feel like he's a really good actor. I mean, I think he was acting way harder than he needed to for this crap fest we watched, and I do think he turned in a good performance. But I think, like you said, the personal life, like we talked about with Tom Cruise, you have to forget about the personal life. But Tom Cruise moves a needle the way that Nick Nolte doesn't. So he's not getting phone calls for top line stuff anymore, I think, because he's just so weird. Like, they can get Gary Oldman if they want to spend money. They don't need Nick Nolte.
That's true. But I think one of the problems with this movie is that Ang Lee is basically trying to make a psychological drama, but with the Hulk, and that's not why people are showing up for the Hulk. And
I feel like he had a really good like supernatural movie that he had written, and then he just shoehorned the Hulk into it.
All right.
Well, what I know about the script is that a lot of people worked on the script. Like J.J. Abrams was one of the script doctors on this thing. And the project had been put together more than 10 years previous to the release of this movie. And there were bug men involved, and the Hulk was going to fight a bunch of like radioactive bugs and all this stuff. And
way better than this?
Well, no. But what ended up happening is that Ang Lee had the choice of directing either Terminator 3 or Hulk. And so he said Hulk, but he wanted his guy to come in and do a revision of that script, because that script had been kicking around forever. And so he brought his guy in, whose name escapes me.
James Schamus.
There you go.
He's been working with James Schamus since the early '90s and stuff. He's kind of his right hand man. And James Schamus is a pompous man. He is. He just is. And when you learn history about him, he's a very stuck up individual. And he's also one of those people that will just kind of lean into like, I don't know nothing about nothing, and I don't care. And that's...
right. You've actually brought him up before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Because when we were talking about like villains of superhero movies when we first started this thing, you brought his name up years and years ago at the birth of this podcast.
But yeah, Schamus is one of those guys. He's one of those guys, and frankly, even despite his Academy Award winning, I think he's a bit of a hack. And because for heaven's sake, he took like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and like while that's a nice, everybody goes, oh, this is a nice big drama story and all this other things. If you look at the type of movie that's coming from, that's not usually the type of movie that they make. That's like taking Terminator 2 and turning it into an Agatha Christie book or some such nonsense. You don't need that. And it's just he's got
Terminator on the Orient Express.
He's highfalutin. He's a highfalutin man. You figure with his little bow tie and everything that he's, that's all you got to know. Bow tie on a gentleman.
Oh, no. Well, I went into this today, and I was honest to destroy this thing, because I remember just absolutely hating it, and I don't hate it anymore. There's not a whole lot to hang your hat on with this movie, for sure. There's and it's so very long. Yeah. But when you keep in mind that like he's not trying to make a superhero movie, he's trying to make a psychological thriller. The performances are strong from your three mains. And by the way, I totally forgot that Josh Lucas used to be in movies. Remember, they kept trying to like shoehorn him in everywhere.
You're right. Josh Lucas they really tried to make him a thing for a while, but everybody was just like, no, Josh Lucas.
I felt like when you couldn't get McConaughey, Lucas is who you called.
McConaughey, what? You gotta remember, the McConaissance is not going on in 2003, not at all. He's on the outs.
When did that movie in Texas with the high school kids come out? You'd be a lot cooler if you did. Hello, all right. When did that movie come out?
Dazed and Confused?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in...
That was like 2000 or 99 or something.
That was in the 90s.
Yeah. So he was on the scene. McConaughey was on the scene in 2003.
Do you not know how ebbs and flow in Hollywood go? He's out in 2 hot seconds.
Hey,
Dazed and Confused is 1993, fool.
I want to say McConaughey was like in his Sahara.
Exactly. He's in the Sahara land right now. He's not making.
I was going to say, there's no time in the past 20 years when you said you've got your choice of Lucas or McConaughey, and you picked Lucas.
That's our whole point. Is that Lucas shouldn't have been the guy, but he was the guy at that particular time.
Man, they kept trying to just throw him in.
We're going to put you in this movie with Reese Witherspoon, okay? Or we're going to put you in Beautiful Mind or American Psycho. It's just like there was I'm telling you, between like 2000 2005, everybody was just like, hey, this Josh Lucas guy's pretty good, huh? Who said that? I think it was Josh Lucas who said that, actually.
They made him a basketball coach in a movie. Can you think of a less basketball coach type than Josh Lucas?
Man, you aren't kidding.
So no, it's like, look, God bless them. They try, but you know, it's just not working.
Favorite Josh Lucas movie? Go.
Let's give me 2 seconds. I actually want to look and see if I could find one that I'm just like, that's not bad.
Dazed and Confused.
But that's not the one of.
That's very funny, Bruce.
Oh, speaking of which, he was in The Lincoln Lawyer with him, so there you go. There's your connection.
Oh.
There's your connection. Maybe he played his brother. I never saw that flick.
No, me
Like,
neither.
I honestly think Josh Lucas in this movie was trying to be a little bit of Jay Moore.
Jay Moore's like, why are you bringing me into this, dude? I didn't. What did I deserve? But seriously, like, come on, let's move on from the Josh Lucas talk, because frankly, I'm going to be honest with you, this is the most talk Josh Lucas has gotten in the past 15 years.
Now,
Josh Lucas, you can send your Patreon money to patreon.com/HMP.
One solid good thing that came out of this movie, though, is I love Sam Shepard as Thunderbolt. He is the perfect Thunderbolt.
Yeah, he is. And the weird story with him is that he wanted to shave off that awesome mustache of his because what he had told Ang Lee is there are no generals that have mustaches. I mean, you know, it's part of the, you know, it's part of the culture of the army. And Ang Lee convinced him, well, you know, Thunderbolt Ross.
You're Sam Shepard.
You know what also isn't in the...
I'm getting to that, but Thunderbolt Ross, you know, has a mustache. And on top of that, the reason why we cast you is because you're Sam Shepard with a mustache. You know what I mean?
It's like Burt Reynolds, man. If he shaves the stash, he loses the role.
Yeah.
I'm like, Sam, we also have a giant green monster in this. Those don't exist either. Wear your mustache, get in line. See you Thursday.
And how many times do you think Ang Lee tried to get him to put on like a cavalry hat? Because, man, he would have looked good with one of those cavalry hats on.
You know, he would have been the perfect guy in G.I. Joe flying the helicopter.
Yes, he would have, man. Well, what was that guy's name? It's bugging me. I should know that sort of thing.
Helicopter Jones.
Me too. Helicopter Jones, exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure it was like Wild Dog.
Now, let's talk about this. What do we think about like the actual origin story and how they've kind of treated this thing? Because this is obviously something that we have never gotten through a Hulk deal before.
Okay, man. Now, you really want me to wind up on this
yes.
one? Because this is like...
Because I figured this would be the most thing that would just drive you absolute batty.
Okay. Now, I'm very familiar with the Hulk. I'm very familiar with comic books for those new listeners who just tuned in because they had to hear about Ang Lee's Hulk.
What if this is your first episode, please email me at hearmoviepodcast@gmail.com. Tell me how you came across and that this was your first one. Gosh, I want to hear that. I want to hear that version so bad.
Somebody's like, finally, they're going to praise Ang Lee's Hulk. I want to listen to it.
Son of a unsubscribe.
There are lots of times where it makes sense to retcon a superhero's origin story. None of those times involve starfish. None of those times involve jellyfish. None of those times involve like inheriting genetically from your father that a gamma bomb is going to unleash. I mean, the Hulk is easy. The gamma bomb goes off while he's saving Rick Jones' life, and then Thunderbolt Ross hunts him down with a bunch of tanks and helicopters, and you're in the desert watching Hulk smash for about 45 minutes. You got you a perfect 90-minute movie. If they let me write the script, it would only be 4 pages long, and it would have made $300 million at the box office.
And the Hulk takes the desert.
Yes,
it's just like,
because
listen, there's a lot to fill in here.
Movie that's kind of good. I mean, that is the part of this movie that's kind of good is when they go back and they're kind of faithful to that 80s cartoon Hulk where it's just him in the desert smashing military equipment. That's when the Hulk works for a guy like me. Like this first movie should have all been Thunderbolt versus Hulk. The next movie is Abomination. Nowhere in my 7-picture outline would Nick Nolte's name have appeared.
But we need a crazed hobo.
I've always thought a way underused character is the leader. Like they need to bring in the leader as a Hulk bad guy.
They teased him. They teased him at the end of that Ed Norton movie, and then nothing happened, and it would have been awesome casting.
They've even asked. They said, Tim Blake Nelson, would you like to do it? He just goes, he's like, no one said anything, but if they did, I'd probably do it.
Oh, heck yeah, man. Tim Blake Nelson, one of the 100 greatest actors that I like.
You can tell Bruce is in some other place, can't you, Sean?
Mostly because I liked "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou" a lot. When he said
I was going to say
turned him into a horny toad.
Damn it, you beat me to it because I was going to say you just like the way he says horny toad.
Yes. By the way, that is a great movie. That's one of the best non-comic book movies that I've seen lately.
That's like 1999. It's just like, look, man. I haven't seen a movie.
But this is like, keep in mind that the origin story of the Hulk in this movie is during that times again where writers in a writer's room in Hollywood think they know better than stuff that has been happening for 40 years. They don't realize or care in this instance that people have an expectation when they walk into a movie theater to see the Hulk. And so it's 2003. You still have organic web shooters. You still have, the claws are coming out of Wolverine in a different spot than he does in the comics. All of that stuff, and it's during that phase of comic book movies where they're like, look, comic books are for children, and we're trying to make something a little bigger and badder than this. And so that's what this movie suffers from, I think.
Now, I'll say this. I don't like what it does as far as what it adds into the obviously, as we've said, unneeded backstory of the Hulk, right? Just like I said, starfish and all that jazz. That being said, that whole opening looks fantastic. It's shot so it's talking about the wrong thing. But it's shot really well. It looks so cool. And it's like, that is very engaging. What, again, is, imagine if you didn't have all the wild and wacky editing in this movie. This movie, honestly, I think would be a whole heck of a lot more boring.
Okay, for sure.
But just when it comes to origin stories, they really work well when they're concise. Like Superman, he's an alien. Spider-Man, bit by a spider. Batman, he's a rich orphan. Hulk, his father took some jellyfish and starfish and injected it to himself, and then had a child who inherited that. Then he murdered his mother. Then later a gamma bomb went off, and he became the Hulk.
Yeah, it's the simplicity of it all. William Shakespeare said it best, I believe.
Gamma bomb. The Hulk, gamma bomb. That's it. If you need more than 7 words for your origin story, go back to the drawing board.
And I look at the same time, and I just go, look at the Incredible Hulk. They gave you that entire origin story in the credit sequence.
Yeah.
You're good. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, the Bill Bixby Hulk gave you the whole origin story in the opening.
Yeah.
That's even shorter.
And it had better music.
Well.
Hey, but Lou Ferrigno, man. Lou Ferrigno and Stan Lee side by side security guards. If I got to make a run for it, I know which one I hope chases me.
I didn't realize it till I was looking for the Stallone connection, but I didn't know that Lou Ferrigno has been doing the voice of the Hulk for most of these movies. Like, he's not in Thor Ragnarok, but he is doing it.
Interesting thing is, Don Messick did the voice of the Hulk in the old Hulk TV show. Lou Ferrigno didn't do the Hulk on the old Hulk TV show.
That is interesting.
But if you listen to Ferrigno, I don't think he knows that.
and also, I mean, Ferrigno's natural speaking voice is kind of...
It is. Look, it is what it is. But it is one of those things. Like, and he was really PO'd when they were telling him, "Hey, look, man, thank you for your service, but your services will no longer be needed here." And he was really miffed about that, man. He's just like, "But I want to be Hulk. I'm Hulk." Like, you're not the Hulk, buddy. That's a character. It existed before you. It'll exist long after you. But I'm the Hulk. No, you're not, sweetie. Just go over there and have your applesauce.
Hey,
shut
guys,
up.
Just between me and you, there's a slight chance I may have to host Lou Ferrigno panel. So
let me tell you.
Do it instead.
Is there going to talk about?
Man, I don't know. That's why I want Chris to do it, because I know that I would be very uncomfortable about not being able to hear what I say and stuff. And I think Chris, he's Canadian. He's naturally more polite than I am.
You just like every question's like, hey man, what's your bench? Like, what?
And the night before the convention this summer, they're doing a screening of The Crow with James O'Barr doing a Q&A, and I told Chris, no way I'm getting close to that. I mean, we kind of have a long tradition of crapping on that, so I don't want to be like official around that at all.
Would that be hilarious? I don't know what James O'Barr looks like now, but I just imagine probably not, super giant built hunky dude, but I just imagine like some real skinny guy coming up to Bruce going, so I hear you've been talking about my Crow, huh? What's up with that? And then just
he's military. He's ex-military.
Yeah.
He's going to have some.
So he knows how to kill a man with his bare hands. Good luck, Bruce.
It's international waters, I tell you.
And all you have to do is just start. If he starts choking you, all you need to do is just like hum a Cure song or something like that, and he'll just start break down crying. You can just kick him in the jewels and run.
I'll play some of James O'Barr's music from his band because nobody can tolerate that, not even him.
Make it stop, mama, make it stop. Hey, listen, as long as you guys keep in mind, they've greenlit another Crow movie with our boy Jason Momoa. So oh boy, that's how this show.
That's gonna be great.
All I gotta say is I really hope James O'Barr has never listened to our podcast.
I just hope that movie comes in before. I hope that Crow movie comes out before this October, so we don't have to watch the Edward Furlong one.
No, I'm all for Eddie
because that's the next on the list for October is the Eddie Furlong one, and oh boy.
So to get back to the Hulk for a second. I can't believe I'm the one bringing us back. That's so weird. So is Nolte supposed to be the absorbing man in this movie?
Accidentally at best. Like, I don't think that the absorbing, I think it's just a coincidence. But man, that whole character is just such a song. Man, and at least they named him David Banner as a little nod to the TV series. But if they wanted to make him they should have made him the absorbing man, who would have been a cooler enemy.
Yeah, agreed. Totally
Crusher
agreed.
Craddock, was that his name? I can't remember right now.
Creel.
Crusher Creel, that's right.
Because he, oddly enough, he does show up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., if you remember.
And he's the guy that was boxing against Matt Murdock's dad in the boxing match.
Oh.
If you go watch the Ben Affleck version, I mean.
Oh.
And who amongst us doesn't have that in our top of canon? I certainly know that I do.
Have we reviewed that? Have we
reviewed
Affleck's
Yeah, we did.
This is what happens when you get 200 under your belt. Yeah, I reviewed that on Bubba Wheat's show, Flights, Tights, and Movie Nights, and I did that 2 years ago, and it still feels like, well, maybe even 3 years ago at this point. I still don't want to do that again. Oh my word! What a giant colossal turd.
Oh, that's right, because we saw the director's cut.
Yeah,
of Daredevil. Yeah. Is Bubba still doing that show, man? It's a cool show. I just don't know if he still does it.
I barely keep up with my own shows. I'm like, I gotta watch what now? Oh boy, the Ang Lee's Hulk. Jeez, thanks Patreon people.
Way better. I sincerely want to say thank you to Patreon for not choosing Casper. That was I would have preferred Casper.
I think I would have too. Let's talk about this, because this movie does bring us the first time that we've ever had this, and I think rightfully so, and should be the arbiter from this point on out. This is our first real CGI Hulk. Yeah. And and
I thought it was pretty good, man. I know a lot of people I've heard people say that Hollywood wasn't ready for a CGI Hulk when this movie was made, and I've heard people really complain about the CGI, but that isn't one of my big problems. I'm cool with the CGI.
Here's the thing. It's 2003. It is still fairly early on this stuff, but one of the main reasons why it still is as good as it is because you have a man named Dennis Muren behind it. And that's why it still looks as good as it does, is because you had, one of the all-time greats behind the helm going, let's make sure that this darn thing looks as good as it possibly can. And I think it looks pretty good, despite a couple of weight things and being able to, really feel impact of something being there, because a lot of times, even when they do like the artificial camera moves and things like that, where it's just like, ooh, look at the like Star Trek shake kind of deal, it still doesn't feel like the Hulk weighs much of anything.
And,
especially at the end.
This was mocap, though, right? I mean, this wasn't straight CGI. They were doing mocap on this.
I don't.
Yeah,
they may have.
They were.
It looks like
mocap.
Yeah,
they were. Ang Lee was doing the mocap on it.
That's what
I'm
happens
not kidding.
when
I'm not kidding.
He isn't famous yet.
And he was.
I'm not kidding. He really was doing mocap on it.
Well, it looks better than like when Spider-Man, when they throw in those CGIs that aren't mocap, they're pure CGI. Right. I can always tell, and I like mocap better. And of all the things I will be complaining about on this movie, the CGI is not something that bothered me at all. I thought it was really, really good for its era.
And keep in mind, this movie's 15 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that they get away from, too, that they don't really do as much now, but I always kind of... I love the fact that the Hulk can just jump.
And that's cartoon Hulk.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's super long distances. It's wild and crazy, but man, oh man, do I like that.
Yeah, me too. I do. One of the things I don't love about this movie is Sad Hulk. Sad Hulk shows up a whole lot in this movie.
Yeah, but Sad Hulk was the mainstay if you knew the TV show. So, the saddest song in the history of mankind is the ending credits song for the Hulk TV show. So they have to have some sad
For
Hulk.
sure.
So Piano Man is what they're playing at the end of... Everybody's like, oh, Piano Man's a great song. Piano Man is a great song, but it is massively depressing, people. Listen to the actual lyrics. I still say
the saddest song in history is that piano tune at the end of the Hulk. Brought a tear to my eye every time.
That's just because you're just like, I'm gonna be a hitchhiker one day, and no one's gonna pick me up.
I'm gonna say that it's okay. Go, wanting and needing. No, wanting and getting wanting. That's what it is. Yeah, that's a sad song. Anyway, it feels like I'm the only one who was pleasantly surprised by this.
Well, I'll be honest. The way
that's a fair assessment.
The way that I kind of went about this, because like I said, I haven't watched it for easily a decade. But I remember liking it a lot more than I did. So I think I almost went I think I started with the opposite thing and ended up the opposite. Wow. Because I remember going like, oh, you know what? I feel like I kind of like it. I feel like it gets a little bit maligned for what it is, but, the time and date and all that kind of jazz. And watching it back today, I was just like, no, this is not good.
This is only the second time I've ever seen it, which is saying something. But what's weird to me is how I remembered this movie vividly from 15 years ago. Like, I remembered almost every detail, which isn't something I typically do. And I saw it once and knew I never wanted to watch it again. And then I watched it again for the show here and realized maybe I didn't need to, because I remembered this way better than I typically remember a 15-year-old movie, in particular a boring, bad one.
I think that the reason why I like it so much, I mean, it's not like I love this movie, but the reason why it surprised me is because I did expect it to be just awful, and it's not. To me, it's not an awful movie. It's just not great. But I think the reason why you remember it so well, Bruce, is because it's going for something. I mean, you don't want to go there where the movie's taking you. You think that it's made some wrong moves, but it is there. At least they are trying for something different in this movie. And I was kind of Star Wars prequel level excited for this too, and I was Star Wars prequel level disappointed by it. But a live action Hulk that's not Lou Ferrigno, I mean, I was like through the roof for this. Like, this is going to be Hulk getting the Sam Raimi Spider-Man treatment. And I should have known you can't have an auteur head your film if you don't want an auteuristic film, and that's what they got.
Yeah. Can we all agree on this though? These two Hulk movies have done literally, I thought the impossible, which was to have not only one, but two amazing Betty Rosses. How is that even possible?
Yeah, that's true.
How do we start
right
with
about
Jennifer
that.
Connelly, and they're just like, well, she's not going to be in the next one? It's like, oh no, what kind of, what's kind
And
of?
they got
just,
Liv Tyler.
Yeah,
But
Liv Tyler.
very
Okay, all right.
smartly, very smartly, no Betty Ross in the MCU
Yeah, that is smart.
because she is honestly one of the flattest characters in all of comics. Like, she makes Jane Foster seem cool. That's how flat Betty Ross is.
Ooh, get that for a shirt. Natalie Portman's wearing a shirt around talking smack about Betty Ross. That'd be hilarious. I'd love.
I mean,
to
if
see
you're
that.
if you're an actress with a career, don't agree to be Betty Ross. I mean, if you've got no prospects and this is the only job you can get, fine, go be Betty Ross. But it is just a terrible, terrible character, a terrible role.
So before we get to the Sloan connection, I do want to say this though, and see what your guys' thoughts are on this. As we've seen, now Hulk, Incredible Hulk, and everything, and with the way that everything is working within the MCU and their actual agreement and everything with Universal, and us not getting a new Hulk film. Are we sad that there are no new Hulk films, or are we just kind of okay with what he's gotten in the Pantheon right now, your Thor Ragnaroks, et cetera, et cetera?
Well, if they, I know there's some universal reasons, for distribution that we won't have a standalone Hulk film. But let's just say the MCU announced a standalone Hulk film. We know that Thor would be in it, or Ant-Man. I mean, that's just Marvel now is going to give you 4 heroes in an Avengers movie. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't mind if they did another Hulk movie with Ruffalo. I like Ruffalo so much better than I like Banner here. And though not everyone agrees with me, I like Mark Ruffalo a lot better than Ed Norton.
No, I agree with you. And not only that, Bruce, I think that it's a mistake at this point to give Hulk his own movie. We've seen it twice now with people who are very, very good at their job. That it's not the type of character that warrants its own movie, quite frankly. Like you said at the top of the show, that it's going to end with Hulk smashing. And that's fine when there's 15 other people around him. Not so great when it's just Hulk. And so, unless they do that Peter David change to Hulk, I don't know why you would even want to have Hulk standalone.
They already kind of did it with Thor Ragnarok, but Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, there's a good movie to be made there.
That was precisely my point, though, is that we've started to at least go down the route for a possibility of that with Ragnarok. It's not quite the back and forth Peter David, but it works well enough. And if hey, if he evolved that much in one movie, what could he do in 2 more movies? You know what I'm saying? He could be quoting Shakespeare for all we know.
The story from Feige is they have made a standalone Hulk movie, but a third of it was in Avengers 2. A third of it was in Thor Ragnarok, and the final third is going to be in Infinity War.
That's fair.
And if you look at the Hulk portions, it's going to be basically the Planet Hulk storyline in those 3 movies, but they don't have distribution for a Planet Hulk movie, so they put it in these other movies, which I think is a good move because I love the Hulk in these other movies.
Yeah, me too.
It's a nice respite. All right, but speaking of those other movies, we're not talking about those. We're going to get down to the rating of this one, but before we do that, we have to ask ourselves how this movie relates to one Sylvester Stallone.
Why, thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Anyone who has seen the photo of Nick Nolte's arrest in 2002 for drunk driving remembers it. After that photo was released, he went from guy who does good work to a guy who probably parties with Gary Busey. Because in that 2002 mugshot, Nick Nolte looks insane. He had grown his hair out for his role in 2003's Hulk, and not helping matters, he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt so loud that it hurts your eyes just looking at it.
So great.
During his arrest, he also tested positive for GHB, which is more commonly referred to as roofies. And when asked about it, he said he'd been taking it for years and that he'd, and I'm quoting here, never been raped, unquote. What does someone willingly roofie themselves for years?
Oh, man.
That's the reason why is because that's a person who wants to take a vacation from themselves. And if I was Nick Nolte, I can't say I blame him because, You can't get 10 people to agree on anything except that Nick Nolte clearly has demons in his head. Mm-hmm. But what most people don't know is that Nick Nolte was arrested before in 1961 in Omaha, Nebraska when he was 20. Nolte got busted for selling phony draft cards before your mind starts playing Creedence Clearwater Revival's Fortunate Son while an Apollo rocket launches, then quickly shifts to Woodstock. This is 1961 in Omaha. So Nolte's mugshot looks like he plays rhythm guitar in the Dave Clark 5. Nolte got 5 years probation instead of a 45-year prison sentence. And how did that happen? It's unclear because his family wasn't rich. He wasn't famous yet. I'm speculating it's because Nick Nolte is a charming so-and-so. And specifically when he was 20 and handsome, and he probably shot that judge the look of blue steel 40 years before that term existed. And Nolte walked out of that courtroom thinking to himself, what can I do with these terrific looks and charming demeanor? I know I'll become one of them fancy boy models. It's hard to imagine now, but that's just what he did. Nolte was a model and transitioned that modeling career into acting. And in 1992, he was voted People Magazine's sexiest man alive.
Oh, my.
I feel like if I go back in time, I could be super handsome.
That's when Billy Ray Cyrus was at peak Billy Ray Cyrus.
The problem with Nick Nolte is that he has huge impulse control problems. He's been married 4 times. He has 2 kids, one of which was born in 2008.
Oh, my gosh.
He was 67 years old when he had his second kid. That hurts. 67. Nolte, what are you doing? He's made a lot of mistakes over the years, but one thing he did right happened in 2011 when he was the voice of Barney the gorilla in The Zookeeper, starring Kevin James. Also in The Zookeeper is a man whose voice can make every big-haired woman over the age of 50 feel things in her bathing suit area, Sylvester Stallone. Stallone is the voice of Joe the Lion, and his mate, Janet the Lioness, is voiced by the age-appropriate Cher, which makes me wonder, what sort of juice does Kevin James have that he can pull in Stallone, Cher, Nick Nolte, and Rosario Dawson? There's no way those people read the script for Zookeeper, or when they finish, they gently place the screenplay on the side table next to their chair in their study, take off their glasses, stare off into the middle distance and say to no one in hushed tones, yes, that's the script I've been looking for. Alert my agent immediately. Rosario Dawson was nominated for a Teen Choice Award for her spectacular work in The Zookeeper, but sadly did not take home the trophy.
Darn it.
Unfortunately for her, all she has now is her millions of dollars and amazing career to look forward to. Since his 2002 arrest, Nolte hasn't been very public, and who can blame him? If the world ever finds out that every weekend I fall into a K-hole, I won't be able to show my face at the tennis club. They have the best watercress sandwiches. They have water that has sliced cucumber in it, and it is delicious. Man, I hope my addiction to Special K never gets leaked. And there you have it, HMPers. Nick Nolte is this week's Stallone connection. Now, Rick Jones and Doc Samson, let's review everyone's favorite version of Hulk.
All right, here at Hero Movie Podcast, we have our own patented Robin rating system. If you'd like to see what that is, head on down to Facebook.com/Hero Movie Podcast. It's right there at the top of the screen. And while you're there, why don't you just throw a like on that bad boy? Let's start out with the birthday boy. Bruce, what is your patented Robin rating system for Hulk from 2003?
It's really hard for me to imagine a time when Nick Nolte looked in the mirror and said, yep, Hollywood, that's where I need to be. Like that is like I see some people that are famous sometimes and I wonder, like, did they own a mirror before they got famous? Because wow, the cojones on those guys actually go for it. Robert Wall is in that category, you know? He looks at the mirror and says, Hollywood, that's where I'm in.
That guy never had a good year.
The guy that was like the best friend in the Ricky Bobby movie. I can't remember that actor's name now.
John C. Reilly?
Yeah, imagine him looking in the mirror and saying, Hollywood, that's where I need to be.
The weird part is that PTA looked at him several times and just goes, yeah, you are going to Hollywood, boy.
But this movie's awful, man. It's boring. It's boring. It takes too long. It's not a Hulk movie. The Hulk doesn't show up for 45 minutes. It has one cool scene where the Hulk does smash and jump in the desert, which is the only thing that might be construed as redeeming. That and Thunderbolt Ross is cast perfectly. But, man, this is going straight to the old Jason Todd dumpster for me.
Yowza. Woo.
Wow.
Man, oh, man. That's
tough but fair, that Bruce Leslie.
I wouldn't have guessed that one. Let's see where Sean's goes.
For me, I went into this just looking to spew venom and hatred and vitriol towards this movie, and it's just not that movie. It's well done is the wrong word. It's capable. It's a capable movie, and they're going for something. It doesn't nail it. I think it's so weird, and Jennifer Connelly is just so fun to watch in this movie. And the Hulk looks pretty great. The Hulkapoodle thing, which we barely got into on the show, is so ridiculous and one of the dumbest things in a superhero movie ever. So for me, I am giving it a very, very low Damian Wayne.
Looks like I'm going to be splitting the difference here. I got to go Stephanie Brown. I can't say it's absolutely awful. There's enough in it to kind of, and I'll be honest, like I said, I think a lot of it has to do with the wild out there multi-frame comic booky sort of deal that's going on. I think if you take that away and you take Danny Elfman's music away, this movie loses so much. But there's enough in it to kind of recommend it without going over the top, but it's a Stephanie Brown. It's wildly. I would have, if I was to guess, I would have said hi Damian Wayne. If you just said like, what did you think before you watched the movie this time? I'd have said, oh, easily hi Damian Wayne. I think this movie is overlooked and and just kind of maligned a little bit for the time of which it was in. And frankly, I don't think that's right at all. Now going back with a little bit better vision, it is not what I would hope for a movie like this to be. So there you go.
Huh.
Okay, so again, that is it. Thank you guys that supported us out there, patreon.com/HMP, and voting on this movie, man. You didn't vote for Casper, so, I guess that's a win of some sort, right?
Thank you.
Well, we'd like to keep the birthday tradition going on here, and what do you say that Sean and I, have come up with a gift that we'd like to give one Mr. Bruce Leslie? Bruce, this time next week, we would like to review in episode 200 of HMP, Watchmen, the ultimate cut. For those of you that don't know,
it's going to be a 4-hour episode.
This is going to be a big one. Bruce is going to have so much to say. We're going to record early, I'm sure. But get ready. Not only is it our 200th episode, we're going to make that 200th one count. And if you'd like to support this show, like I said, patreon.com/HMP and all that kind of good stuff. And we really appreciate it. And we're, honest to goodness, so stoked that you guys have been around for this long. And it's gotten bigger than I think any of us could have ever figured it out to be. But we'll celebrate that one next week. In the meantime, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Hey, I just want to say a very special thank you to Micah Hunter, RocketFace, who once again is the first to leave a 5-star review for my latest book, Dragon in the Darklands, on Amazon. So go check that out. And otherwise, tune in to HMP next week for a 2-hour comic book connection.
Sean, what do you got?
You can find me on Twitter at Hero Movie Sean. I just learned that American Animals comes out in June. So look out for that. And you can always go to Dog Eat Pod if you have not listened to my stupid dog review movie. Dog movie review show.
I'd like it better if your dog reviewed movies.
Dog
like you
review.
hook up a microphone in front of your dog. And is your dog a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Set her loose. Just let her talk for 45 minutes about
Jackpot,
whatever.
what do you think about this movie?
Ang Lee's Hulk with Sean's dog.
So, Jackpot, what do you think of this movie?
Ruff. That's your answer for everything. You're just a dog.
Chewy?
Sean, your stuff. That we already did that. And the Film Find at thefilmfind.com. I've had new guests all these past 3 weeks and everything, man. So go check them all out. And it's been a fun time over there. Yeah. So that is it, everybody. Join us next week for episode 200, where we talk Watchmen, not the director's cut, the ultimate cut, the big one with everything in there. Set aside a weekend because this is what you're going to need.
Man, you're not kidding.
Until then, for Sean, Keenan, Bruce, Leslie, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Mom.
And happy birthday to everybody.